Hi, folks. This is a Kubernetes SIG meeting. It is the 6th of July, 2021, and this is a meeting of the Documentation Special Interest Group. We're going to follow the Cloud Native Computing Foundation Code of Conduct and be nice to each other. Please do follow that Code of Conduct. Let me share my screen. Oh, and I'm Tim Bannister. So, yeah. Let's talk about first new contributors. Is there anyone on this call who is new? Anyone who wants to introduce themselves? I think I recognize everyone. So I'm going to move on. This week we are following US holidays, and so there is no one doing PR wrangling, no one officially doing it. Approvers and reviewers are still welcome to do approving and reviewing. It's just that there isn't someone who's volunteered to put themselves and do that as their particular thing this week. Next week, it will be Steve Perry 53. Okay, let's move on to a release update. Victor, perhaps?
Hello, everyone. Our status is yellow, but mostly because the integration branch has some conflict since we merged that pull request with the feature gates, with the feature gates update. We are starting to pick up a bit more speed. Currently, we have 30 enhancements that need documentation, 12 that are drafts, 12 that are ready for review, and 11 that are merged. We will ping people this. I did a sweep just earlier, and I'm going to continue to do one today to see who do we need to ping, because also enhancements has been giving us a hand to remind people of the deadline for docs PR. And I'm going to finish that up and probably ping the rest of the people myself, because I don't think that there are that many, since most of the enhancements are at risk anyway, and enhancements has pinged them here and there. So basically after this sweep, I'll have a look at what else needs to be done. And I think that's it. Nothing comes to mind outside of that. So that's it from me.
So I have a question, Victor. How are we doing on reviewing those 12 ready to review changes?
Currently, to be honest, I did review some pull requests. I need to give a heads up to the shadows to also have a look. Currently, the main focus is to kind of wrap up the rest that we have, the rest of the enhancements that we have for the upcoming deadline, and then we will also review and merge those. There are a lot of them that are at risk, so I'm not really in a hurry to merge them as it is. I need to see, where the enhancement itself is going.
Okay. Sure. Given that it is, 4th of July holiday week, and that the freeze is on the 9th, I think it's reasonable that next week is probably going to be the big one where we focus on making sure that those PRs are reviewable and get reviewed.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. Let's move on to issues and pull requests. We're waiting for feedback from SIG release about the overall idea of using automation to generate the feature gates list.
Yeah, so we had a discussion last time, and I think Anna's here as well. Maybe you can also address. So the main concern was the generation of the feature gates from the YAML files. And basically, Tim and I have discussed this offline on Slack, and YAML is there basically because we don't have any kind of generated data at this point. However, I can start working on generating that from the actual code if we really want to go there, if we're ready to go there. I haven't seen any kind of opposition from SIG release for doing the tool itself. But as I said, the discussion was really around the YAML files. But if we remove that from the equation, maybe we can move forward.
Well, that sounds like what they call in soccer a no-score draw. For me, I'm not hearing a conclusive signal whether to carry on or not.
Yeah, let me re-ping the leads to make sure to get this PR reviewed. I will also take a look.
Sure. I'm really there's two pieces of this that I'm keen to get feedback on. One is, should we do it at all? And then the second one is, for example, if you're talking about YAML, you're actually looking at reviewing a particular implementation of the idea, which is my code, rather than the idea as well. And I want feedback on both of those. I'm open to the idea that someone else's code delivers this, but as well as wanting someone's code to deliver it, I want SIG release to buy into the idea, because if we haven't got that explicit buy-in, I don't think it's worth doing. Does that make sense?
So I think the idea, we're very happy with the idea and we're in support of it. I think the concern just was what Victor mentioned. Why create this YAML file if we can get it from the KK feature file? So that was the only thing that was brought up during the last meeting, but we're in support of the idea. But I think people just wanted to take a look at it more and see.
We can also discuss it or remind the SIG release tomorrow during the meeting, and I can post on SIG Docs chat an update.
Yeah, I was actually wondering, did you brought this up during SIG release meeting or was it just the release team meeting?
It was during the release team meeting, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you might be raising a good point there, Anna. Like, if that's not representing SIG release, and I know that weekly meetings aren't necessarily representing a SIG, but like an official, like this is a thing where actually an official SIG position would be useful, I think, to us. Really, because we need that buy-in. I just don't think it's sensible for SIG Docs to put the effort in without SIG release being convinced that, and SIG release rather than the release team for Docs being convinced it's a good idea.
Okay, then I think the action item here would be to bring this up during SIG release meeting instead of the release team meeting.
Absolutely. The problem is that that's a week from now. Is that a huge issue, or should we, I don't know, ping people on Slack or start a Slack thread regarding this?
This, I mean, for my take, like, it'd be nice to land this just after the 1.22 release, but this is the time of in the cycle when SIG release is busy. So if that SIG doesn't have time right now to make a decision and to give feedback, I would understand. Anna, are you going to take an action?
So I am not able to make the SIG release meetings.
Okay.
Is anyone else able to?
Yeah, I can bring this up next. It's on Tuesday. Yeah, it's on Tuesday on the 13th.
Okay. Two other things I'd say. I'm going to assume that it's popular. I'm quite happy to see someone else take the work I've done in that pull request. And if someone wants to open their own PR that has a different tack, but borrows as much code as they like I've signed a CLA, it's Kubernetes code already now. If you like broadly what I've done, but you want to do it a different way, go ahead. I don't really mind. I quite like how I've done it, but I'm also open to see someone else's approach go in, and you can do it completely different. You can use JSON, you can use TOML. Don't go too mad, but if someone wants to do a different thing and say, this is my take on doing it, then I'm happy to see that. Cool. Well, I think that's enough on issues and PRs, or that issue and PR. Are there any other issues and PRs people want to talk about?
Yeah, I had one thing about the localization stuff. So this is something that came up yesterday. Pull request localizations for Dev 122, or that include localizations, better said. And this is not something that I knew. Apologies if I missed this. I don't know. I don't think I've seen it anywhere. So cool. Basically,
should we park that to the discussion section?
Oh yeah, sure. Yep.
Cool. But specifically, if there is a particular PR or issue people want to talk about, I'd be happy to cover that now.
Hey, Tim, Chris Metz here. So I had opened that issue about adding some diagrams to the contribute section as part of my adventure into the squashing commits documentation. I just, was looking over the entire section, and I really thought that some diagrams might be helpful. I spoke to Jim about this, and he thought it was a pretty good idea. So I was playing around with Mermaid, and I think it's been suggested that we use those capabilities. And I thought maybe I'd start to draft up a couple of proof of concepts things, maybe add those to the issue, and maybe get sort of some consensus or suggestions before opening a PR.
So this is about adding diagrams specifically to the contributor page.
Yes, yes. And I think it would present a more friendly or inviting presentation, particularly for new contributors who may not be able to delve into some of the details outlined in the text or haven't worked with that kind of thing before.
Oh, I've misspelled your surname there. It's a wrong letter. Sorry. Right. And I think that's other Chris. There's too many Chris's. Sorry, there's not. I mean, I'm all for it. My feedback would be yes. What do people feel about this concept of adding diagrams, and would anyone like to help?
Yeah, I mean, if people have some examples of Mermaid, it seems slightly limited, but I think it's sufficient enough that we could put together something that again would outline the steps and define some of the terms and where they fit into the whole pipeline life cycle.
So
go on.
It's actually really funny because I just started looking at this tool for SIG release because we have an issue for visualizing the release process. And I actually created 2 Mermaid visual graph. And I can share like the code or what I did, not code, it's actually text-based. So like I can share that and show you like what it looks like. And I mean, I like the tool. I'm actually still waiting for SIG release to get back to me also on whether they want to proceed with this tool. So if SIG Docs is also using it, and I actually didn't know that it was part of the Kubernetes documentation either. But I think, yeah, I'm happy to help in some way, I guess.
Sure, that'd be great, Anna. So I thought what I'd do is just set up a quick Google Docs with some of the text code for some of the diagrams, and maybe we could do a little brainstorming there, and try and group our efforts, and maybe try and have a consistent application of these of this tool. And again, I think it will add a huge amount of value. I'm a big time diagrams guide, and whatever we have in the text is fantastic. But again, for new users, even existing contributors, I think they'll find these diagrams helpful.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, please send me a invite for that Google Doc, and we can collaborate there.
Excellent, will do.
So if people haven't used it, there's an online editor for Mermaid on their GitHub Pages site. And when you make a diagram there, you can share a link to that diagram with other people. And the URL includes basically the diagram. So you can also share those links with people and say, here's my diagram, what do you think? And then what you shared is editable with them.
Yeah, that might be the best place to go, at least for some ideation, if you will, on some of these diagrams.
Yeah. If you want to find an example of a page that uses, I always think of the ingress page,
right,
which I can probably share because I think I did the diagrams for it, which is actually one of our more popular pages on the website generally. Let me visually indicate what I'm talking about. Here you are. That is mermaid. So here we are. If I look at the source, I'm not sure how this renders, but well, mermaid has taken it all away from me. If you look at the markdown source, you'll see mermaid. And essentially it's defining that diagram in text, and then we render it. You don't have to use the Kubernetes colors for contributor docs, but I would try and use the Kubernetes colors because it just matches the style better.
Right.
And yeah, you can use as many as you like, and any page that has a mermaid diagram in it automatically loads the JavaScript to turn that into what you see rendered here. One other thing I mentioned. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Anna.
Oh, so I guess my question is, the question is not whether to use the tool because the tool is already being used, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it.
There is a thing you might want to do. Some cases, it's kind of, there are circumstances where you might say, I'm going to put the mermaid into the markdown and I'm going to have a comment so that people know what the mermaid source, but then what I'm actually going to publish is an SVG. The couple of reasons you might do that would be, you know that the rendering is inconsistent between browsers, or you're worried that the rendering would be inconsistent between browsers because you've got a very complicated diagram. And you might say, I'm going to turn that mermaid diagram into an SVG, and then I'm going to commit the SVG, and I'll just somewhere make a note of what the mermaid source was in case anyone needs to go back and edit it. And the other reason you might do that is because actually you want to edit the SVG somehow. You want to do it all in mermaid and then, I don't know, add the Kubernetes logo, that kind of thing. I don't think that's relevant really here, but since we're talking about mermaid, I thought I'd mention it.
No, so that's a really good point. That's one of the questions I also had, was that, like, do you actually export and save the text that was used to generate it, or is it generating on the page, I guess? And so for the ingress, do you know, Tim, by any chance?
Yeah, I mean, that is rendering at client-side rendering. I'm going to see if I can find a page actually put the source on screen to show people. Any questions while I look?
Real quick, so in the source, if we're using an SVG, that would be the SVG image used in the documentation. Would we put the mermaid source anywhere so that down the road, maybe if someone wants to open a PR to modify it, they could at least have this source?
Absolutely. So SVG is XML. XML does comments, so you could put a comment in the top of the SVG, or you could put the comment in the file that includes, in the sort of in the page that it references the SVG, you could put it there. I would probably put the comment in the SVG file so that it's as obvious as you can make it.
All right.
Now, people might still miss that, but that's what I'd do.
Time to dust off some of my SVG editing tools.
Yeah, I mean, like, just to be clear, I would edit the, if you're exporting an SVG,
right,
do it from mermaid and then export to SVG. Right. And then normally you wouldn't look at that. You just treat it as some sort of graphics file. Yeah. But if you're adding a comment, I personally would use Vim, but you can use a text editor to take XML and put a comment in there.
Right.
Because behind the scenes, it's really a text file.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what the mermaid looks like. There's a short code, so that's a Hugo short code. And then the contents of the short code are mermaid. And the website makes, the website layout makes sure that that renders how we want it to. There's nothing to stop us changing how the website works to have this render during static site generation into an SVG, but that is more programming than anyone's got their hands dirty at doing just yet. If you want the Kubernetes styles, you'll see these class defs here. You can use those to get the Kubernetes blue and so on.
Cool. Thank you.
Excellent.
Cool. Anything more on issues, on this issue or another issue? Not hearing anything. I see there's a person, I think, who's joined the call. Ritu Panjwani, is that how I should say it?
Hey, Tim, yes.
Hey, I'm not sure. Is this your first time you've joined a SIG Docs weekly meeting?
No, I have been joining sometimes. Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah.
Well, I won't chalk you up as a new contributor, but I will say welcome back.
Yeah.
Cool. And on to discussion. Weekly blog meetings. Chris.
Yes, we don't. Hopefully my internet won't drop out from under me as it did last week when I went to discuss this. Yeah, so we want to try to get the blog meetings going again. So I just wanted to see when everyone thinks would work. What day and time? So is that the previous one you're typing in there, Tim?
I think we're going to have one in about 35 minutes.
Okay, good. I didn't know it got scheduled. Okay, great. So I guess it will be on this Zoom, correct?
Yeah. Okay. I put a message in SIG Docs blog.
Okay.
I'll share that in the SIG Docs channel.
Great. And also, I didn't know if it needed to get added to a calendar or anything like that, so others know to look it up. I couldn't find where to look it up. So
I don't know how to get things added to the calendar. I'm sure I could work that out. So yes, we should probably add this to the calendar, but I think more important than the calendar is having the meeting. So I've focused on that bit.
perfect. Yeah, I'm glad you did that because I wasn't. I knew that there was some discrepancy with the time in the day. So so glad you went ahead and did that. Okay, great.
So does anyone want to feel free to unmute and say, "Oh, I'll be in that meeting too," if anyone's interested.
Well, I expect I'll come.
Cool.
I'll probably join shortly.
Cool. So Nate and Victor, yeah, good to see you there. Yeah. So I said 11:30 Pacific time. In the announcement, I put 19:30 UTC, but I was wrong. It is 18:30 UTC. So just in case you were looking at the UTC time, it is 18:30 UTC, 11:30 Pacific. And I'm not sure if it'll be every other Tuesday or every Tuesday or something. I would prefer it to be not every week because I already carve out plenty of time for Kubernetes, and it is after work for me. That's just my view. I think we'll do more on that kind of discussion in the meeting itself. So on to, I think, release branch localizations.
Yes. So is there a process for this where we don't merge? Is it something like clearly defined where we don't merge localization PRs in the dev branch, but rather we do it when the release is done, or we don't do it whatsoever? Or how should I act moving forward? Because this is something I had no idea of, and it didn't even cross my mind.
The challenge that I think I see is that, let's say we merge in a Russian, a Ukrainian, and a Korean change, localizing text that has been proposed for the next release. And whilst that happens, two of those localizations change the main branch, and they update their documentation on the main branch because they're localizing and they're keeping things current. There's now a merge conflict. But here's the problem. To resolve that merge conflict, you might need to speak Ukrainian, or did I say Russian and Korean? Now, that's a big ask. And that's the thing I'm worried about, that we either have to throw away one team's work, either we have to throw away the changes from the main branch or from the dev branch, or we need very polyglot release team people helping with docs.
Yeah, I see the problem. So my question is this communicated to where, well, this should be communicated probably throughout the project for people to not open localization PRs against the dev branch, right?
I think this is the first release where people have tried, to be honest.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't recall seeing it. Does anyone, Ray, you might have some context here?
Yeah, I don't recall anyone trying to do in last release. Actually, you know what? There might have been a few, but I think it was just on the FeatureGate side, and the person that was on the Docs release team.
So now this explains the lack of any kind of, documentation, because that didn't happen before. But I think I will add it as a note to the docs lead, shadow, whatever documentation that we have, so we kind of avoid this this problem, because otherwise either, as Tim said, we throw away the work, or I don't know, we need to get someone from the localization team, which is, yeah, on short notice might not work. You're muted, Tim. Sorry.
Thank you for pointing that out. As people who have been involved with release cycles and Kubernetes releases will know already, there's a crunch. It's not like there's a constant flow of PRs. They come in more at the end of the cycle, and merge conflicts are probably more likely, as we near the release. Just when you don't want them is when they turn up. So yeah, I think it's kind of a theoretical risk, but I think it's also like a believable risk. Am I making sense to folks?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, hang on. I need to argue with Zoom about audio for a second. I'm not hearing anything. Do apologize. I'm going to stop sharing. Sorry, folks. Okay. I think my audio is broken. Anyone want to nod or shake their head to tell me? Nod if you've got more to say on the call, because we could basically wrap things up. Okay. I'm going to wrap things up there. Thanks, folks. Have a great rest of your week. See some of you in the vlog call.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.